Hello and welcome to tonight's live. We're just giving everyone an opportunity to get in touch and join. Hello, Luke Michael Howard. Let me talk to you. I realised that I could do the intro right now. It'd be a bit frustrating if I do the intro right now. Then I have to do the intro again in 5 minutes when like 100 people have joined us. So we're just going to give people a few moments to join. Because tonight we're on all forms of social media: Facebook, YouTube, X, LinkedIn, for the young folks out there, Twitch, and if I didn't say TikTok, maybe TikTok as well. But TikTok make it challenging for me because I have to do a different program to do TikTok. So we'll see if that works. If you're watching, put in the comments below where you are watching from. Where are you watching from? I am in Toronto right now, Toronto, Canada. Not the capital of Canada, as I used to think. But where are you watching from tonight? Put in the comments below. Is anyone from Virginia here tonight? I'm off to Virginia tomorrow for the Virginia Hypnosis Conference. So that should be fun. But put in the comments where you're watching tonight. As we're preparing and waiting for other people to join us, this month, the month of November, and maybe December, everything is going to be about fasting, and it's about health and how hypnosis can help you with and with your health. Because they want to lose weight. Not trying to lose weight, kind of happy with my weight right now. Some people fast because they want some kind of spiritual connection. That's lovely. That's great. It's not why I'm fasting. Some other people fast because they've got some kind of physical ailment, some kind of issue in the body, and that's why they fast. It's not why I fast. The only reason I fast, it's not really sexy, is for mental strength, is because I realize that most people would never choose. Ready to find out how long I'm going to go without food. I'm going to break my own record, and I'm going to go for 4 weeks. 4 weeks with no food. So that's, I'm not talking about Ramadan. Respect to my Muslim brothers and sisters out there, but it's not sun up to sundown and then I get to eat. I ain't eating any food for 4 weeks. No, I'm not suggesting that you should do it. If you choose to do if you can hear me out there, folks, Luke is experiencing time. See if you can hear me. Okay. Uh-oh. Mike, can you hear and see comment playing up right now? Okay. Okay. We're back. Thank you for your patience. Let's start again. Hello. Let me talk to you. I'm Luke Michael Howard, the hypnotist, and tonight is our November edition of the Hypnosis Show. This month is going to be dedicated to fasting for health, and fasting. Why fasting? Well, let me tell you something. I started to do these little experiments a few years ago, and I started to notice on Facebook there was these 3 days or 72 hours fasting, just drinking water for 72 hours, and people were banging on about it. It was one of those challenges, right? And I saw it, and I think, who are these people? Like, I saw some of these people, my ego got in the way, and sometimes ego, a blip to what other people say. Sometimes ego can be very, very useful in propelling you to change. And I saw these people that are banging on about doing these 3 days fasting. I'm like, fuck that. If they could do 3 days, I sure as hell can do 3 days or longer than that. I know that I am stronger than these people. I've got more testicular fortitude than these people. Yeah. So I did 3 days. And then the next year, I'm like, you know what? It was tough those 3 days, but now let me see if I can increase it. So I took it to 4 days. And then the next year, 5 days, 6 days. And then fast forward now, we're about 8 years into this odyssey, and I'm up to 4 bloody weeks. I'm going to go, well, my goal is to go by hook or by crook, to go 4 weeks with no food, no calories, zero. I will only be drinking water and black coffee. That's it. Why? Because I realized that most people would never choose to do this, right? It's not some form of anorexia where I'm trying to hurt myself, not trying to have some spiritual connection. Although if that's the reason that you do it, more power to you. Not trying to do it because I've got some physical ailment, and fasting has been shown over history to help with many physiological disorders out there. Although I've used it for all of those reasons in the past, and it's helped. Actually healed a broken rib last year that I got in my MMA class, and it should have taken 12 weeks, and they healed it up in 5 weeks. So the only thing that I did was I didn't eat for 3 weeks. So starting when I get back in a couple of weeks, I believe it's like November the 17th, I'm going to not eat for 4 weeks. That's the goal. Because I want to see how far I can go, how far I can push this concept. I love food, by the way. I love food. Food is amazing, but sometimes I love food too much. So having abstaining for a month is quite something. And you know, people, like I say, fast for many different reasons. And for me, it's all about mental strength. Because, like I say, I like to eat, but to choose to make a conscious choice to suffer, but to suffer for a reason. And make no mistake about it, going 4 weeks without food is suffering. It's suffering. You can't sleep properly. You're having to deal with cravings minute to minute. Mood swings up and down more than normal. I'm a delight to be around. Ask the Hypno Pixie. So why the fuck do I do it? I do it because most people would never do it. And I figure if I can make this, most people suffer. We all suffer on some level. You can't, if you're alive, you can't get away with not suffering. However, sometimes you can choose your suffering. And I am choosing this form of suffering every December to not eat for a period of time, because all of my shit, technical word, comes up. And a thing that would typically be, I don't know, a 2 or a 3 on my stress scale, now with no food comes a 9 or a 10. So I'm having to really calibrate my emotional responses to others and myself on a very finite, high level. And also, again, I'm not a religious guy. I'm somewhat spiritual. But you want to talk about weird out-of-body experiences without taking drugs, because I'm straight edge. You know, I don't take drugs. It's the closest thing to taking drugs I've ever experienced. Like, I'm hallucinating shit by day number 3. Yeah, so this month is going to be about fasting. I'm going to be taking before and after pictures. I think I'm going to make like little videos every day, just so you can see the front, the sides of me without a t-shirt, and the back of me. You can see my facial expression, like, and then put that together in a collage over a month. It will be real. And again, I don't know how I will go a month without food. The record of fasting, as a matter of interest, does anyone know what the record is? The longest that someone has chosen, not because there was a gun to their head, it was some kind of weird hunger strike, or they were being tortured, but they make the conscious decision. Do you know what the longest, the world record is on fasting? The longest that somebody has gone without eating food. Before I answer, put it in the comments. How long do you think is the longest that someone went without food, documented by the Guinness Book of Records? We'll give you a moment to put into the comments. All right. Drum roll, please. That's a lame drum roll. I need to get some acoustics or something. The longest that someone's gone without food is, I think it's 375 days. 375 days that somebody has gone without food. It's crazy, isn't it? This guy, a Scottish guy, Angus, name escapes me. It was in the 70s, and he did it because he had all kinds of ailments. You check the facts here, but I think it was some form of cancer and about 20 other different things that was wrong with this fellow. And after a year, a little bit over a year of no food, I think it was about 400 pounds as well. He lost about half his weight. And whatever the cancer and ailments he had in his body had completely miraculously cleared up. There was no medication he was taking, no food. He was just drinking water. So that's the record on it. David Blaine, and they stopped putting it in the Guinness Book of World Records because they wrongly thought that it was encouraging people to do some kind of self-harm or starvation. And I know some people could take it that way, but it's certainly not the reason I do it. It's quite healthy. You go depending on how much body fat you've got, but the average one of us who's averaging just around about 20%, got enough body fat that essentially if we chose to, we could live very, very physically healthily for about 6 weeks without there actually being any complication, without us needing food. You don't really need food, folks. I love food. I don't want to never, ever eat food again. I really enjoy food, but we don't actually bloody need it anywhere near as much as we think. Now, if you stop breathing for not 6 weeks, if you stop breathing for, as record was 20 minutes, but the Navy SEALs train people to hold their breath for 4 minutes. But for the average person, if you stop breathing for more than 3 minutes, you're fucked, you're dead, right? You need air. And if you go all the way out to the world record, you go 20 minutes, you need to breathe after that. You're not going an hour. Forget a day, forget a week, a month, a year. You can't go more than 20 minutes if you break the world record on holding your breath. So air is bloody important. I think you can go a week without liquids. It's not easy. It's horrible. Wouldn't recommend you do it. But you can go a week without water, 5 days to a week, and survive before you die. Okay? But you can go about 5 to 7 days without water before you die. You could go about 2 weeks or about 1 million seconds with no sleep. That's also counting micro naps before essentially you create a form of brain cancer and you die. Food, you could go about weeks, over a month, probably for the average one of us, hovering around 20% body fat, and most people are hovering with more body fat than that, over 6 weeks without having any food. Is it enjoyable? No. Is it fun? No. Is it going to kill you? Absolutely not. It'll probably save your life. But saying that is, we all think we're brought up on this notion of eating 3 meals a day and then usually the snacks in between. That was just a concept, a man-made concept. Doesn't actually come from anywhere. It's not like God came down, if such a person exists, and says you must eat 3 meals a day. No, the sugar industry made that shit up for us to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's not real. I mean, most of us go along with that doctrine, but it's not real. We don't have to eat 3 times. You can go days without eating if you choose and be perfectly okay. And again, I'm not telling you you should fast, by the way. That's something you need to decide for yourself, and perhaps Luke, checking his ass here to make sure he doesn't get into trouble. Perhaps you consult a doctor. I'm just telling you what I do, my experiences with fasting. You can see the camera's a bit laggy tonight. Sorry for the technical difficulties tonight. This is, the technical difficulties are shitting the bed, as they say tonight. But if you can see me and if you can hear me, I can see a few of you are out there, but I can't see it because it's not let me see your faces here on my gimmick. So if you put in the comments if you can see and hear me, that would be great. So have any of you tried fasting before? Anyone watching tonight, have any of you tried fasting? If so, Melanie Germain, the Hypno Pixie, thank you. You can see and hear me. His camera seems to be a bit bloody. What's the word I'm looking for? Slow tonight. Yeah. How long have you fasted for? Have you ever fasted? What's the longest that you've gone? Up until now, it's been 3 weeks for me. It's 21 days without food. I lost over 18 pounds. And again, it wasn't my goal. It wasn't necessarily for weight loss. It was just mentally to see how long I could go without food. Oh, there we go. All right. 48 hours, Melanie says. Melanie's gone 48 hours without eating. Mine was 3 weeks. It's going to ideally be 4 weeks, starting in a couple of weeks from now. Just before Christmas. Yeah. So if you've experienced fasting, got any questions about fasting, or someone who's been doing it a long time, put it in the comments below, as he points to below. Any questions about fasting? Like I said, I'm going to probably keep maybe a little diary, a video diary of it, but like definitely before and after pictures, and ideally a little video every day of like front, side, both sides and back, to document this, and then edit it together. And over the next coming few weeks, again, the topic of these lives in November is fasting and health. I'll be sharing with you how I get through 4 weeks without food, if I used any supplementation in that time, energy routines that I do to keep myself alive and awake, how I deal with the cravings, how I deal with no energy, like literally no energy is going in my body, and I'm just become what's the word I'm looking for? Apathy. It's basically when you just start eating the fat from your body. So not cannibalism, but when you eat the fat. Now, when I lost 18 pounds, when I released 18 pounds last year, I measured my body fat as well, and in 3 weeks, I lost 18 pounds. I increased my muscle mass by 1 or 2%, and I decreased my body fat by about 4%, which means I only lost fat and I didn't lose muscle. You might be thinking, well, like if you're in good shape, whatever, don't you just lose all your muscle when you fast? No. Now, if you don't train in general and you don't train when you fast, then you will atrophy, you'll lose a bunch of muscle. Okay, but if you train in general, i.e. body bearing exercise and weight, and you train with weight or body bearing exercises, when you fast, you don't lose muscle. I've proven this. I didn't lose any muscle. I had nothing for 3 weeks, and I trained an hour every single day, cardio and weight every single day. Was it always intense? No. When I got after that first week, that intensity started to drop. But was I doing weight bearing exercises? Absolutely. And I didn't lose any muscle whatsoever. Because most of us, like I'm carrying around 19% body fat right now, right? It's generally a healthy level. Most people are above that. So we've got, and I'm about 160 pounds right now. Once my body's got rid of all the fat, then it'll eat into the muscle. But I got more than enough fat on me right now to go 4 to 6 weeks without it losing an ounce of muscle. Right? I'm in pretty good shape. So the average person who doesn't work out, they've got copious amounts of fat. They could go a lot longer if they chose to with fasting. I got a question here from my good friend, I can't speak tonight. The Alchemy Fitness. Did you change your eating, or did you notice any change in what you craved after you fast? Yes, I love sugar. I still love sugar, but when I started to do longer fast, and by longer I mean over a week or so, I started to crave more and more savory foods. where in the past my go-to comfort food was always sugar. Still like sugar, still enjoy sugar, but when I fast, I start to crave savory more, which is interesting. I remember last year when I fasted, I was in the first week and I was doing cardio. It was a Tuesday night, and I'm about 5 days into this fast, no food, and I'm doing treadmill and I'm just walking uphill on it, not particularly high intensity, and I'm about to cry, right? I don't typically go into my gym at 9 p.m. at night and cry, but I feel this well of emotions come over me, and I'm about to burst into tears. But these tears have nothing to do with the suffering. The amount of, oh my God, I've done 4 days and I've got to do another like 2.5 weeks of no food here. There were tears of joy. There were tears of joy that I was having when I was on this treadmill. I started to cry. And what the experience was, is it reminded me of who I am. It reminded me of who I am and what I was capable of. And I think sometimes in life, sometimes in society, we forget what we're capable of. And I remember being on that treadmill, wanted to cry because I realized what I was capable of. And what I was capable of was far more than I gave myself credit to the rest of the year, where I was eating copious amounts of food. So I don't know if that was some spiritual awakening or something, but that was my experience of less than a week into my fast last year. And if I'm honest with you, I only got hungry, as in tummy hungry, about 3 times in 3 weeks. Now, those cravings, those bloody hell, I want a frappuccino, want a hamburger, want a slice of pizza, want some Haagen-Dazs, want one of those chocolate bars with the cow on the front. Can't remember what they call it. That's moment to moment. I'm having to deal with that shit moment to moment. And that's just all head noise. Just noise in the head. The actual stomach saying, motherfucker, you need to eat or you are going to drop. Less than 3 times in 3 weeks. And by the way, in case I haven't said it loud enough, I bloody like food. I really like food. But we don't need to eat anywhere near as much as we think we need to eat. And as someone that grew up with a lot of issues around food, overcome them now, but it just reminds me that food's pleasure. I enjoy it. It's really good. It's good to have that pleasure of food. But do you need it? You need a bit of it. About once a month, once every 6 weeks. Depends how much body fat you're carrying around. But do you need it 3 times a day? No. Do you need it 3,000 calories a day? No. Do you need it 10,000 calories a day? No. Do you need it where you're binging for weeks? No. You don't actually really need food. Or when I say you don't need it, about once a month, once every 6 weeks. You need air because you can only go minutes without air, then you die. You need water because you can go days without water, then you die. You need sleep because you can go, if you're really pushing the envelope, 2 weeks without sleep before you die. Food, you go weeks. Food, you could go months. As that guy Angus, and his last name just escapes me. You can find it out online. Scottish guy, 375 days in the 70s, who fasted. He went over a year. Now, listen, he was a big fella. He was 400 pounds, right? I'm imagining that most people are probably not 400 pounds, right? Some people are. No judgment. Well, maybe a little bit. But he had a lot of fat. So he had a lot of energy that was already on his body. So his body wasn't worrying about losing any muscle that he did have underneath. He had 200 pounds of fat, of calories that he'd already consumed, of his savings that he went through in order to lose half of that. Another question by Alchemy Fitness. How did you stay focused and move through the head noise? How I stay. All right. So one thing that I used to notice before I started to do over a week of fasts, I'd get a lot of brain fog. And the thing that would break most of my fasts before I did a week was brain fog. I couldn't focus properly. I'm like, oh, I'm spacey. I'm like that drinking game where you put your head on the stick and you go around really fast. I never done that, but I was getting spacey, that kind of sensation on my body, right? And that would break me back in the day before I'd broken a week and really studied fasting. Not just studied here, but studied experimentally as in doing this shit on my body. And then I started to supplement with certain electrolytes, which I'll share with you next week or when I have them to hand. Certain salts that I'd use, no calories, certain minerals that I'd mix with my water every day. And once I did that, I didn't have any more brain fog anymore. The brain fog was gone. And that was a big thing through my first experiences with fasts. I don't know. So I've been doing about 8 years now. For the first 3 or 4 years, that the brain fog was an issue. But having the electrolyte salts, the one I use is called Snake. The one I use is called Snake something. Can't believe I don't even know what it's called right now. But it's called Snake Juice. The salts are called Snake Juice. I mix these salts with some water, and I don't have any brain fog. And I have about half the little packet in the morning, half at night. Don't have any brain fog. Now cravings, that's fucking moment to moment. Oh, don't you want to eat? Oh, look, you've done a day. Yeah, you've only got another 27 days to go right now. If I look at it like that, like fucking I've done a day and that was hard enough, and now I got another 27, it's overwhelming. It is going to break me. So what I do is, I learned this from Jerry Seinfeld. He's a big practitioner of Zen Buddhism, and he would stick this calendar on the wall, and every day where he would do his transcendental meditation, he would do an X on that day, which would represent that he did his 20-minute sitting of meditation. And because as humans, we're fickle things and we're all egotistical, seeing multiple X's through the days, through the weeks, through the months, filled in with a sense of kind of joy, a sense of accomplishment, perhaps a dopamine high. So what I do is I have this blank calendar thing, and I put the calendar month in, and it has a square for every day, and every day I put an X, and every X means I've done the whole day. But when you're fasting for 3 or 4 weeks, even getting through a day, 24 hours, can be overwhelming as someone who does this. So I took it a step further, right? So what I would do is I would break the day down to 4 quadrants: 6 hours, 6 hours, 6 hours, 6 hours, 24 hours, right? So then I'd say I just need to get 6 hours, not 24. When you haven't eaten for 10 weeks, 24 hours is too much in your brain. But if I just have to go 6 hours, then what that 6 hours is it's half a line of the X. Then when I do the next 6 hours, I finished one of those X's. Then when I finish the next 6 hours, and then the 6 hours after that, it becomes the X on my calendar, which just trying to see if I have it to hand here. I might have it to hand to show you. I did not prepare this, by the way. I don't want to faff around with this too much. I'll show you next week. But I have so you'll see I break the day down to 6 hours, 4 times, 4 quarters in a day, and every 6 hours I draw a line. So at the end of the day, it becomes an X. So my battle doesn't become 28 days because it's overwhelming if I focus on 28 days when I'm starving, literally starving and dying. This is literally what's going on some level. It's overwhelming, and I will break and I will eat. If I just have to go 6 hours, though, I can take almost anything for 6 hours. So that becomes the battle. It's just 6 hours. I don't have to do another 10 days or however many days is left on the fast. I don't even have to do another day. I just need to do 6 hours. And that's it. So that's some of the little techniques that I use. I'm going to be sharing a bunch more of these over the month of November and December on what I do. And I'm going to show you some of the supplementation that I use to get through that as well. But as far as the cravings, the noise of the cravings, like you need to eat this, eat sugar, eat drink, all this, it's a price I pay. It's suffering. It's a suffering, but it's a suffering that I'm choosing. I think there's a difference between a suffering that's been imposed upon you, that you had no choice. There's a gun to your head. You're never allowed to eat again, right? Don't have a choice. Versus, oh no, I'm choosing. I'm actively choosing to not eat for the next 4 weeks. I'm making that choice. So when I choose the suffering rather than the suffering choose me, there's a level of acceptance there and a kind of surrender to it. And part of the price that I pay for that is the police coming to arrest me for being a maniac. No, is I'm going to crave food minute to minute, and I have to deal with that. So in neuro-linguistic programming or NLP, we talk about state control. You want to talk state control, and fucking fast for 4 weeks. This is moment to moment state control, moment to moment, because like I say, something that typically would be on the stress 0 to 10, that would typically be a 2 or 3. When you've got no food in your system and you had no sleep, it actively becomes a 9 or a 10. It can break you. One of the other drawbacks in my experience of doing this is it's really hard to sleep. It's really hard to sleep when you fast. You might catch 2 hours here, be up for 4 hours, catch 3 hours here, be up for 5 hours, catch an hour here. But I'm experimenting with some different supplementation and some different things this time around to see if I can have a more advantageous sleeping routine, schedule, quality of sleep effectivency, because that sleep, it really does affect the sleep. And if you're not eating, you do want to be getting some sleep, because if you take away sleep, then what you got left? Water and air. Not taking away water and air. Although I may go for my record on breath holds on this fast. I think the Navy SEALs require somebody to hold their breath for 4 minutes. My record is 3 minutes and 16 seconds. I think I'm going to look to see if I can do 4 minutes. I don't know if I will. It might be too much to do with not eating, but that's something that's in the back of my mind as well. Any more questions about fasting or health? Again, very sorry if you've joined us and the camera was messed up today, or it was buggy, or it was slow, or any of that business. Hopefully we're working now. It seems to be working okay now, and I will be putting up the replay on all forms of media, social media, after, because the social media has not been my friend tonight. But hey, it happens, so we have to roll with the punches and utilize whatever else is going on. So alchemical fitness. I'm curious, how long have you gone with that? Have you fasted? I think you fasted. What's the longest you've gone that you've fasted for with no calories in your system? If you care to share, I'd be curious. But yeah, if you've never fasted before and it's something you want to do, stuff like intermittent fasting is a good way to start. Like, you have a window of 8 hours that you can eat, but then you fast for 16 hours. For me, that's nothing now, right? Not to pat myself on the back, but I do that shit in my sleep now. My body's beyond that. That doesn't affect me in any way, shape, or form now. Intermittent fasting. But once you do intermittent fasting, then you can go for a day, 24 hours of fasting. Once you've done a day, you can do 36 hours. This is kind of how I did it. 36 hours to 46 hours. Sorry, 48 hours, 2 days. Then 3 days. Then I did 5 days. Then I did 7 days. Then I did 10 days. Then I did 14 days. And then I did 21 days. And this will be 28 days. And I've inbuilt into the program, just because I like round numbers, maybe I do 30 days. Maybe I do 30 days, because 28 is really close to 30, right? And if I finish 28, that would be the goal, which would be 4 weeks. I mean, 22 days would beat my record. Did 3 weeks last year. But for me, 28 days is so close to 30, right? So I have some wiggle room. That I could add an extra couple of days, but who knows? I have no idea how I'm going to get through this. You'll be seeing on these lives how I'm getting through it. I'll be sharing with you, because even though I've experienced this before, I've never experienced 4 weeks of it, and right now I have no fucking idea how I'm going to go 4 weeks without food. Like I've gone. Last time I ate was yesterday at 5:45. It's now 7:45 p.m. Eastern. I've now gone 26 hours without food, and my tummy is talking to me now. So I can't do the math right now. But what's like 4 weeks? What's that? It's like 1, 2, 3, 4. That's about 650 hours of no food, something like that. Yeah, I've just done 26, and right now I want to eat. So add on to that like another 625 hours, or however many hours are in like 4 weeks. I have no idea. I have no idea how I'm going to do this. You will see my struggles. You're going to see my frustrations. You're going to see magical moments. You might see me in despair, but what you will see will be real. And I'll be sharing with you how I'm getting through it. Little treats, not treats. No, I'm staying away from treats. Tricks, supplementation, energy routines that I do, psychological principles that I use to keep me alive and sane for 4 weeks. So I'm going to be sharing with you. That's just an overview of the stuff that I'm going to be sharing with you over the next month or so. Okay, I've done a couple of 3 days and a 7 day. Oh, excellent! You did 7 days. Alchemical. I can't. Why am I having a problem saying your alchemical fitness? It's hard for me to say that today. But you've done 3 days and a 7 day. Great. How did you find 7 days? How did you find 7 days? For me, 3 days was actually hard. The first 3 days I did was harder physiologically than doing 3 weeks. I know that sounds weird. How can like not eating for 3 days, fasting, be harder than 3 weeks? 3 days, 3 weeks, right? It's because my body was used to it, and I knew what to expect, and I dealt with the head zaps or the head fog. I knew how to maintain my energy. I knew what people, what events, what situations to stay away from that would be triggers that would give me an excuse to break my fast. I accepted there was going to be suffering. I was accepting that my sleep was going to be fucked up, but I did train every day, and I did work. I did work every day with clients as well. All right. I never did the electrolytes, but will on my next fast. Your long fast inspired me. I've been psyching myself up. Oh, excellent. Beautiful. Yeah, I'll share with you some of the gimmicks that I use. Some of the snake juice, it's called. It gets a salt that I just mix up, and some other supplements that I've got. No calories or anything in these supplements, but to help me get through this, specifically with sleep as well, because I know sleep was a big drawback last year. But how I found the solution to the head fog. Hopefully this year I find the solution with some of the practical plans I've got to deal with sleep. I'm going to bed for 28 to 30 days on an empty stomach completely. So hopefully I'll hack that this year and have some good things to report on how I overcome that and how it can help you. Yeah, another key, get into ketosis. Ketosis is when your body goes from burning sugar to burning fat as its primary source of energy. So if you're used to eating copious amounts of carbs, or certainly over 100 grams of carbohydrates a day, as typically most of us do, if you go and start a fast after that, oh, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt like a motherfucker, and it is going to be, the amount of suffering is going to be through the roof. It is going to be horrible. I used to have cheat days and then start with all the sugar in my system and then start a fast. It was dumb and it was fucking horrible. So now I make sure I go into ketosis before I start the fast. So that means that the week before my fast, I'm having less than 100 grams of sugar, carbohydrates, I should say, probably actually less than 50 to get myself into ketosis. I measure my ketones every day as well. And I have this monitor that I breathe into, and it shows if I'm in ketosis or not, i.e., again, if I'm using fat as my primary source of energy and not carbohydrates. And it shows you, 0 to 5, you go into ketosis, and this little monitor that I'll perhaps show you next week goes all the way up to 10. 10 is like close to death. And when I get to like 3 weeks, and I do it every morning, and it goes from like 0.5, and then the next day it goes up to 1, and then 1.5. When I got to the end of my fast, it was like up to a 9.0, and it wouldn't go any higher. I was so in the shit of ketosis. I couldn't be any deeper in ketosis because I've gone 3 weeks without food. And when I looked at the little manual, it's like, if you're at 9, seek medical help immediately. And I was perfectly fine, but I was that far gone into ketosis. Again, didn't lose any muscle. I only lost fat. And I don't know what form of social media you're watching tonight, but on most forms, every year I put the before and after pictures up. It's usually around about this time every year. So you'll see 21 days of my fasting last year. You'll see the before and after pictures, little 1 minute movie, and the stats on this page somewhere. If that's Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, you'll probably find it. I've got my one for 14 days and 10 days, and I think 7 days. You'll probably find if you scroll down deep enough on my page, whatever form of social media you're watching. But yeah, going into ketosis is key. When am I starting my fast? So I'm going to Virginia tomorrow for the NAF Hypnosis Convention. That's right, yeah. And I told you I've been fasting today, so my brain is in it. And I'm back next week, and then I have a week to get back on Tuesday. And then I go from Tuesday to Sunday going into ketosis. And then that Monday, so a week on Monday is when I start the fast. So if I just check on my little calendar right now, hopefully my computer don't shit the bed again. Let's have a look. That should be Monday, November the 18th, should be day 0 of my fast. Monday, November the 18th. Yeah. And if there is one thing that's dangerous about fasts, and one thing that we learned from David Blaine, is the most dangerous thing about the fast is not going without food. But the longer you go without food, the most dangerous thing is refeeding. Now, if you only go a couple of days and you feed a copious amount of foods, it might give you the shits, but you're not going to die. If you go 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and you don't introduce foods back into your system slowly, even though you want to eat everything, right? When I used to do fasts and I broke it, I would have a cheat day. Very stupid and dangerous, but I was starving, so I'd eat all the things that have been denied for the last couple of days. But if you go 3 or 4 weeks and do that now, if I did that, it might kill me, quite frankly. And David Blaine, when he did 6 weeks without food in 2003, they had all the doctors around him, and they refed him incorrectly, and he nearly died. He didn't nearly die because he went 6 weeks without food. He nearly died because they gave him too much food and too much liquids with calories that it shut down his body, and he nearly died. So since then, there's been a lot of studies that have been written. One, again, from studying David Blaine, the illusionist, was refeeding. You've got to be really, really careful. So I'm going to give myself, after going 28 days to 30 days with no food, probably 5 to 6 to 7 days of slowly refeeding, slowly reintroducing food back into my system. Yeah. So hopefully that answered your question. So I think Monday the 18th of November is when I should start. Yeah. So again, I have no idea how I'm going to get through it, but I had no idea how I was going to do 3 weeks, and I did it. I had no idea I was going to do 2 weeks, but I did it. No idea I was going to do 10 days, but I did it. No idea I was going to do 7 days. You get the point. And I don't say this to big myself up. I do it to show you what, if I can do it, you can do it, because it ain't no fucking special skill. I'm just choosing to do this because I know most people won't. Not that they can't, because I can pretty much almost guarantee most people can do this, but most people will never do it because they'll be like, oh, it's dangerous, or oh, I can't do it. Well, you can, and it's not actually dangerous other than the refeeding that we talked about it, right? But get yourself checked out with a doctor anyways. But they won't, just because it's suffering and it's not easy, and most people will choose the easy path in life. And what I learned is the kind of success that I want in all areas of my life is actually the opposite of what most people do. And pay my dues in very different ways. Pay those dues up front, so I get the rewards in the end. But yeah, I mean, that's about it for today. If you've got any more questions, I'm going to be on here for another minute or two. Put your questions below. I will answer in the comments. If you're watching after the fact, so it's after Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time, then I'll go back to these feeds and I will answer your questions. If you've got any questions over the next couple of weeks about the fasting, remember the Hypnosis Show is going to be on every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern on all forms of social media. Facebook, this is all going to be live. YouTube, X, LinkedIn, Twitch, and TikTok. I think I mentioned them all there. And we'll record it and put it up as long as the recording goes well. But other than that, yeah, I will see you next Wednesday when I get back from the NAF Hypnosis Conference. Same Luke time, same Luke place, same Luke channel. Always believe.